Previous session I told about the input on the output functions. Because without this we can't do anything. How to enter the value, how the user can give the value at the runtime whenever run the Java program like that. And moreover I told about the remaining things. Today this session we are continuing the basics. If you learn Java, it will be very useful for you. The variables and data types. Today we are going to see about the what is variable and what are the types of variables supported by Java, and data types. What are the data types need in Java, and how to utilize the data types. Similar to C language, Java also having data types. It's also very useful for adding and developing the Java code. Let's go here. So this video session will be helpful to learn about you what is variable and what are variables and types of variables, some examples and data types in Java like primitive and non-primitive data types, and also the difference between primitive and non-primitive data type. At last, some examples. First one, variables are variable. So a variable is a container which holds value while the Java program is executed. A variable is assigned with a data type. Keep in mind that there are three types of variables in Java, that is local, that is another one is instant, and last one is the static. So what is variable? It's a container which holds the value while the Java program is executed. Let's see the types of variable and see the small example. For example, if you give int x equal to 50 also, it will be considered as a variable only. Now local variable. A variable declared inside the body of the method is called local variable. Then next one is what? Instant variable. A variable declared inside the class but outside the body of the method is called the instance variable. And another static variable. A variable which is declared as static is called static variable. It cannot be local. Keep in mind that. Then come to the example one here, where we can use the variable here. For example, I am going to write a program called A, class A I am writing, then I am giving int data is called 50, then I am giving static int m is called 100. That is, first one is called instance variable, data is called 50. Then I am writing static int m is called 100, that is static variable. And void method, in the void method inside I am writing the data type called int n is called 90. This is called int n is called 90. This is called local variable. So like that you can use. And moreover, you can see another example how to add two numbers in Java, where it utilize the variables only. For example, I am going to write a program called simple.java, where I am writing, you know how to write. So public static void main string, arguments are open brace. Then I am going to write amount addition of two numbers only. So I am giving int a is equal to 10, then b is equal to 10, and int c is equal to a plus b. Then I want to print the result of this addition operation. So I am giving system.out.println of c. So whenever I execute, it will print the answer called 20. So like that you can use the variables based on your usage. Next very important, data types in Java. There are two types of data types supported by Java, that is primitive and also non-primitive. Primitive, you can say the data types like boolean. There will be 8 is the boolean, numeric is there, where numeric again classified into character and integral. The integral classified into integer and floating point, where integer again classified into byte, short, int, long, and floating point classified into float and double. Here character having character, boolean having boolean. And non-primitive, there are many non-primitive data types there. The important is strings, arrays, and etc. So let me see the basics only here. First, data types. General data types specify the different sizes and values that can be stored in the variable. There are two types of data types in Java. That is, I just now told you, primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Where primitive data types consist of boolean, character, byte, short, int, long, float, and double. At last, non-primitive consists of like classes, interfaces, and arrays. This we will see detailedly in the upcoming sessions. Then primitive data types, where I told you just now, these are the main building blocks of the data manipulation in Java, where it consists of boolean, byte, character, short, int, long, float, and double, like that. So you know where and how to use. Just we see the example here. Some of the data type we are using here, depending also whenever you are writing the program Java and execute also. Int, for example, I am assigning int my num is equal to 5, that is integer. Then float, I am writing float, my float num is equal to 5.99f, Then character, my letter is called D. This is for character example, data type example. And boolean, I can write my bool is called true, like that. You can write true or false only. So like that you can use the primitive data types easily. These are one where you can define the values. Next, non-primitive. These are called reference types because they refer to objects. So now we have to see the very important thing, that is the difference between primitive and non-primitive, or else primitive versus non-primitive data type. These are very important. When I go for into also, these kind of points will be useful for. Generally, we'll see the example now. So see the difference here. Primitive types are predefined one in Java, that means already defined, where non-primitive types are created by the programmer and is not defined by the Java, that is except for string. So except string we should not define it's not defined by the programmer. Sorry, it's not defined by the Java, where when you execute the program at runtime it can be the values for arrays and etc. And non-primitive data types can be used to call methods to perform certain operations while primitive types cannot. So there in non-primitive data types, what you can do, you can call methods and you can perform some task. Here primitive types not possible, and moreover a primitive data type has always a value, and while non-primitive types can be null. Keep in mind that. Then a primitive data type starts with a lowercase letter, while non-primitive starts with an uppercase letter. And the size of the primitive data depends on the data type, while non-primitive data types have all the same size. This is also very important. Then we see some of things here. Some of the non-primitive data types, strings. Strings means what? Strings are, we can say simply these are the sequence of characters, or you can say these are defined as an array of characters. And the difference between a character array and a string is the string is what? String is the string is terminated with a special character /0. So here they are saying the difference between a character array and a string. Okay, syntax. How do you use the string? There are two methods there. First we see the general syntax, where string type and string variable is equal to in close and open inverted comma and close inverted comma, I can give the sequence of strings. Example, for example, if you want to declare the string without a new operator, you can give string s equal to postbox csc, and it should be with the double quotation and end with the double quotation and semicolon. Or else if you want to declare the strings with using new operator, you can give string s1 is equal to new string of csc, like that. So like that you can use the strings easily. And next one is very familiar and easy one, array, where you study in the C language also. If you now see, Java is very easy for you, where you can say array in Java are homogeneous data structures implemented Java as objects, where array can store one or more values of a specific data type and provide indexed access to store the same. So I will see the example here and how to use the array and what is the syntax and what example you can use. Here, how do you use the array means there will be syntax called type variable name. Type variable with square bracket, semicolon. These are very important, like C language, where the type determines what type of data the array will hold. If you want, you can save the same data. For example, I want to keep integer data, I can keep numbers like that, 10, 20, like that. Example, otherwise you can give like this, int space month underscore days of square bracket, where it will agree 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Okay, these are the things we have to know about the data types. What is variable and what are the variables, or you can say what are data types supported by Java, and how can you still, apart from this, the primitive data types have size like 2 bytes, 4 bytes and so on. If you want to learn basic, these are sufficient for you. Okay, these are the things I want to convey. Remaining I will continue the next session, how to write program execute online also, not online, online, and as well as execute also with the demonstration. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and connect with Facebook, Twitter and so on. Thank you.